Before I come to the Karnataka elections, at the national level, as you know, there is a very major issue which is there connected with the investigation of the coal blocks allocation scam. Yesterday, the Supreme Court has made very stringent remarks about the way the status report of the CBI, the investigative report of the CBI, has been shared with the law minister and other government officials. And as you are aware, this was sought to be covered up. The court was not given the correct report earlier. In the light of what happened yesterday in the Supreme Court, it has become incumbent for the law minister, Shri Ashwini Kumar, to resign from his ministership. I think his going out of the ministry is now absolutely necessary to uphold the integrity of the CBI's investigation, and also because it has been a gross impropriety on his part. I am surprised that the Prime Minister is still taking an adamant position that the law minister need not resign. That raises a suspicion because a senior official of the Prime Minister's office was also present in that meeting, which the law minister had convened. So the country expects the Prime Minister to take the appropriate steps necessary in the light of the strictures made by the highest court of the land. This is my first point that I would like to make. The other is the problem in the line of actual control and the problem of the Chinese having set up some tents in Ladakh. The line of actual control has been there now for a long time, and both governments had agreed to maintain peace and tranquility on the border. For that, an agreement was arrived at. There is a mechanism for resolving such issues where there are different interpretations or disputes about the line of actual control. This line of actual control is not the final border because both governments are now engaged in discussions to resolve that dispute. I think in the present case in Ladakh, it is necessary for both the governments to have talks to resolve the issue. This should be at a higher level because we already have an ongoing arrangement. We already have a joint working group to discuss the border issue, and in the last nearly 5 decades, both governments have ensured that despite the dispute, we have maintained peace and tranquility on the border and continued with our relations on all other fronts. So it is necessary. I hope that if the foreign minister is to visit China next week, this matter can be discussed. And I don't think it is necessary to ramp up and escalate the tensions further. It is in the interest of both countries, India and China, that they engage in mutual talks and negotiations to immediately resolve the present problem. Coming to the Karnataka elections, the BJP was able to form a government here in Karnataka after the last assembly elections. Everyone knows that how this government was formed. This government was formed after inducing defections from other parties and independents. And the birth of this government itself was a tainted one. And the record of this government in the last 5 years, state of Karnataka and the people of Karnataka, because this government has had a scandalous record of corruption, of allowing the loot of the mineral resources of the state, of having members of the mining mafia as ministers in this government, and also the disgrace of having its then chief minister and some ministers being arrested on a host of corruption charges. If the BJP thinks this foray into the south and forming this government is going to showcase its great talk of being the alternative to the UPA government at the center and also providing an alternative government in this country, I think the people of Karnataka, from what I can see in the last 3 days that I've been here in the state, are determined to ensure that the BJP does not return to power. Having said that, it is also unfortunate that the choice being given to the people of Karnataka is not very different from that of the present BJP government. Because the Congress party, which runs the central government, which heads the UPA at the center, has precisely been responsible for similar acts of corruption and for misrule. What we witnessed in Karnataka, the loot of the mineral resources of Karnataka and the illegal mining, etc., is actually replicated in other parts of the country also because of the policies of the central government of handing over the natural resources of our country cheaply or freely to the big corporates and to the mining barons. And what is important in this election is to have a government which has alternative policies. Unfortunately, I don't think there is any viable such force, political force in Karnataka in these elections.